elders, brothers and sisters, once again we say Alhamdulillah, all praises indeed are for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For indeed we endorse the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most worthy of being praised. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has showered us with His bounties and His blessings. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has once again, for another year, given us another opportunity to praise Him, to glorify Him, and to worship Him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ تَزَكَّى, that indeed that person who purifies himself, Allah is saying that person has attained success. وَذَكَرَ اسْمَ رَبِّهِ فَصَلَّى, and that person who is always in the habit of continuously remembering and glorifying the name of his Lord. فَصَلَّى, and he praises Allah through prayer, through dhikr, through glorification, through ibadat. He is always in the habit of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does Allah say about this individual? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says very simply, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ, and this person, he has attained a very high level of success. So Alhamdulillah, Allah, He has given us that opportunity that we were there, present, Alhamdulillah, alive, healthy during the month of Ramadan, to glorify Him, to praise Him, and to purify ourselves from all eternal filth, and to bring ourselves closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed us in this world for a very, very short while. And being in this world is a challenge on its own. I remember one of our sheikhs used to give us the example of the elephant. He said that there was this person who was walking past a circus, and he was taken back in awe by the elephants. So he went and he stood there and he was looking at them, the sheer size, the power, the long trunk, the large flapping ears. But then he noticed something, that this very large, powerful animal is only being restrained by a very thin piece of rope. And at any given time, this elephant could snap that rope because of the power at his disposal, and he could run rampage in the circus. So he went up to the elephant keeper, and he said to him, well, how do you do it? Such a very powerful, strong, hefty animal, and you keep him at bay with the use of a very small piece of rope. What is the trick behind it? He said two words to him, very simply. He said, mental bondage. What did he say? Mental bondage. He said from a very small age, from birth, we kept that elephant tied up with the same piece of rope. And at that age, he did not have within himself the capacity and the power to burst out of his shackles, so to speak. But then he began to grow up, and as the power increased, that mental bondage from his mind did not go away. So now he's an adult elephant. He has within himself extreme power and capabilities. But because of that mental bondage and that mental shackle that was placed on him from birth, he does not have the willpower nor the desire to break out. And living in this world is somewhat a little bit of a challenge, because sometimes we are bogged down by the dunya. And even though sometimes we may have within ourselves the spiritual capability to break out of those mental bondages, because it has been placed on us so tightly, it is difficult for us to break out of that shackle. It is difficult for us to break out of that sphere that we have found ourselves in. So Allah has placed us in this world and we find ourselves between a rock and a hard place. On the one side, we are being asked by Allah to glorify Him, to praise Him. But then on the other side, we are hampered by the dunya, by our careers, by our family, by temptation, by our nafs, by the shaitan, by our jobs, and so on and so forth. So then what could be done to break out of that shackle? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has very simply given us the month of Ramadan. Very simply given us the month of Ramadan. This is a solution. And let us understand one thing very clearly. That person who worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala under duress, and he worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala against all of the odds, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept a very, very special place for that person. He will be elevated beyond his widest capacity and his widest imagination. And today I would like to present before you the story of one of the prophets of the past. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions him in the Quran, وَأَيُّوبَ إِذْ نَادَى رَبَّهُ أَنِّي مَسَّنِيَ الضُّرُّ. Such a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that once the angels were praising him. And he was such a very pious individual, always worshipping Allah, always glorifying Allah. Allah Himself says about him in the Quran, إِنَّهُ كَانَ أَوَّابًا, that he had such a beautiful characteristic about him that in every situation he was always returning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So according to the account given by Ibn Kathir, he says that it happened once that the angels were praising Ayyub alayhi salatu wasalam in the heavens. Iblis overheard the conversation. And he became envious and jealous of this person, Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salatu wasalam. At that time, he swore to mislead him. He took it upon himself that this is my mission to mislead Ayyub alayhi salatu wasalam. He said to Allah, "Oh Allah, this person, the angels are claiming that he is your beloved servant. But you have blessed him with everything. You have blessed him with wealth. You have blessed him with health, strength, with children, and so on and so forth. So this person, he is worshipping you in ease. So if you give me ijazah, let's shake things up a bit. And let us really see what he is made of. If really he would remember you in a time of distress." So he said, "Oh Allah, give me control over his wealth. And then let's see what will happen." So that Allah, in His infinite mercy, grant ijazah to Iblis. So Iblis, along with his followers, went about destroying the wealth of Ayyub alayhi salatu wasalam. And then he came to Ayyub alayhi salatu wasalam and he said, "Look, your wealth is lost because you constantly give in charity. Because you constantly worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your wealth has been taken away from you." Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salatu wasalam responded by falling down, prostrate in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this was the first blow for shaitan. He went back to Allah and he said, "Oh Allah, this time, give me control over his children." So again, Allah in His infinite mercy granted the ijazah, the permission to shaitan. Shaitan with his followers went, and according to the narrations and the traditions, shook the house of Ayyub alayhi salatu wasalam, causing the roof to collapse and kill all of his children who were residing in the house at that time. Then he came to Ayyub alayhi salatu wasalam and he said, "Oh Ayyub, surely Allah is not rewarding you properly. You have to be doing something wrong. Here it is, you are worshipping Allah day in, day out. You are glorifying Allah, and Allah on the other hand is inflicting you with all of this destruction and disaster, and taking away from you what is most dear to you. How can you worship such a Rabb? How can you worship such a Lord who is unjust, who is oppressing you?" Ayyub alayhi salatu wasalam responded by falling in prostrate in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Second blow to shaitan. Third time he went back to Allah and he said, "Oh Allah, this time I am going for the jugular. This time give me control over his head and his body. And then let's see what will happen." So Allah in His infinite mercy granted ijazah permission to shaitan. And Ayyub alayhi salatu wasalam was stricken with such an illness that the flesh on his bones started to rot. And people who were around him began to scorn him. And he was bedridden, he couldn't even move. Everyone deserted him. His dear ones, his friends, his family. The only person remained at his side was his dear loved wife. And she would serve him every day. So imagine he's there lying on his bed, unable to move a limb. But the only thing Allah kept in control was his tongue. And in that state, he would use his tongue to glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not a single word of complaint. Full of praise, full of glorification. So Iblis, third blow, he didn't know what to do anymore. But then he decided, you know what? The only person who stood by his side, I'm going to take her away as well. I'm going to put her away as well. So he went and he began to whisper in the ear of the wife of Ayyub alayhi salatu wasalam. But look at your husband. He's like this and he's like this. His flesh has become very filthy. And you have become his eternal servant. Is this any sort of existence? You have been made only to serve him. So then, she in her mind, she was only insan. She said to Ayyub, "Oh my husband, how long Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to make you suffer?" That's what she said. How long is Allah going to make you suffer? Hazrat Ayyub alayhi salatu wasalam asked her, before my illness, how many years of prosperity did we enjoy? She said, Alhamdulillah, Allah gave us a long life. We enjoyed 80 years of happiness and prosperity. Then he asked, how many years of sickness have I had to endure? She replied by saying, only 7. So he said, there are 73 years left before I can muster up the courage to lift my hands in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I do not have the courage. Allah has blessed me for 80 years. And now I have only been made to endure for 7 years. How can I show my face in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? But then, it was a doing of Allah that He said to her that because of your ingratitude, I remove you from my presence. And inshallah, if Allah gives me health, I will punish you by giving you 100 strokes. So this seemingly was a final blow. The last person who was standing with him, she was also taken away from him. And then he's there, left on his bed, possibly just, hoping for death to come upon him. And then at that point he called out to Allah, وَأَيُّوبَ إِذْ نَادَى رَبَّهُ أَنِّي مَسَّنِيَ الضُّرُّ وَأَنْتَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ. Oh Allah, indeed I have been afflicted by distress. I have been afflicted by adab, punishment. أَنِّي مَسَّنِيَ الشَّيْطَانُ بِنُصْبٍ وَعَذَابٍ. Shaitan, he has inflicted me with all of this worries and distress and so-called adab. وَأَنْتَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ. And oh Allah, you are indeed the most merciful of those whom they should listen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replied in Surah Al-Anbiya by saying, فَاسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ فَكَشَفْنَا مَا بِهِ مِنْ ضُرٍّ وَآتَيْنَاهُ أَهْلَهُ وَمِثْلَهُمْ مَعَهُ رَحْمَةً مِنْ عِنْدِنَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at that time decided to have mercy upon Ayyub alayhi salatu wasalam. And look at how Allah elevated him beyond his wildest imagination. Allah says, فَكَشَفْنَا مَا بِهِ مِنْ ضُرٍّ. We removed from him the distress that he was feeling from within his body and all of the distress that was surrounding him. وَآتَيْنَاهُ أَهْلَهُ وَمِثْلَهُ مَعَهُمْ رَحْمَةً مِنْ عِنْدِنَا. We gave him back his ahl, his lineage, his offspring, وَمَعَهُ مِثْلَهُ وَمِثْلَهُ مَعَهُ. And we gave him double in reward to what he had before. In terms of offspring, in terms of wealth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doubled him in materialistic wealth. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose to make mention of this in the Quran. But then after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala restored him to his health, he said, "Oh Allah, what about the oath that I took concerning my wife? What about that oath? I have to fulfill that oath." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him a very wise, and using his hikmah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him a solution. He said, "You promise to give her 100 strokes, you take 100 whips and you make a bundle. And you take that one bundle and you hit her once. And you do like this, you will be relieved of your oath." So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even relieved him of that as well. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose to mention this in the Quran, in Surah Al-Anbiya and Surah Al-Samad, for the sheer purpose of it being a reminder for the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that that person who worships Allah under constraints, under duress, under difficulty, under hardship, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevates him beyond his wildest imagination. And during the month of Ramadan, we have had to endure. We have had to shift around our schedules to facilitate the fasting during the day and the prayers during the night. And at times it has been grueling. At times it has been a tedious job. But just remember the story of Ayyub alayhi salatu wasalam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions at the end of the month of Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls out to the angels. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks them a question. That, "Ya malaikati, ma jaza'u ajilin wafa amala." What is the reward for that bondsman who has completed his task? The angels they reply, "O Allah, Rabbana, jaza'uhu ay yuwaffa ajruhu." O Allah, his reward is that he should be given his stipend in full, not should be held back from him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says, "Malaikati, O my angels, abidi wa imani, my bondsmen and my bondswomen, qada fariidati alayhim, they have fulfilled that obligation that was placed upon them. ثم خرجوا علي يرجون إلى الدعاء." And then not only that, but after that they went forth to the houses of Allah to praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears in this hadith. Allah swears. Allah does not swear only if it is something which is of extreme importance. Like we see in the Quran, وَالْعَصْرِ, we swear by time. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this hadith is swearing, وَعِزَّتِي وَجَلَالِي وَكَرِمِي وَعُلُوِّي وَارْتِفَاعِ مَكَانِي. And I swear by my grandeur, by my dominance upon the face of the earth, by my high rank, لَأُجِيبَنَّهُمْ, that indeed, without a doubt, I will forgive them. Without a doubt, I will accept their du'as. I will grant them their true reward in this world. And then the announcement is made, ارجعوا. At the end of the Eid Salah, the announcement is made, ارجعوا. Go back to your places of abodes. قَدْ غَفَرْتُ لَكُمْ وَبَدَّلْتُ سَيِّئَاتِكُمْ حَسَنَاتٍ. Go back to your places of abode. Indeed, I have forgiven you. And I have transformed your bad deeds into good deeds for you upon the face of the earth. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَيَرْجِعُونَ مَغْفُورًا لَهُ. The people, they disperse and they go back to their houses in a state that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already forgiven them. So living in this world, sometimes we are blinded by all of the challenges and the difficulties. But let us understand that the month of Ramadan is there to assist us. When the month of Ramadan sets in, momentarily those veils or those clouds which may be impairing our vision to come closer to Allah, momentarily they are removed. And for a short while we are able to see clearly. We are able to put our lives in perspective. We are able to understand our higher mission. We are able to focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if it is just for a few short weeks. And most importantly, we are able to capture the essence of the month of Ramadan. Such a beautiful month has been given to the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A month of worship, a month of spirituality. That alone is enough to shake a person from the core. That if that person, he spends that month in worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that in itself brings a person, brings his perspective on the straight path. But then again, it is a month of compassion. It is a month of tolerance. It is indeed a month of giving and charity, a month of unity and love, a month of brotherhood, a month of equality. So alhamdulillah, Allah gave us that opportunity that we were able to experience all of these things during the month of Ramadan. Let us make a firm intention that we will try our very best to maintain two things. From this Ramadan to the next Ramadan, let us try our very best to maintain two things. Number one of the lessons from the life of Eidul alayhi salatu wasalam, which is, it was his habit to always seek forgiveness. It was his habit always to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those people who are always asking forgiveness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them the guarantee of Jannah in the Quran. Allah says in Surah Maryam, فَخَلَفَ مِنْ بَعْدِهِمْ خَلْفٌ أَضَاعُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَاتَّبَعُوا الشَّهَوَاتِ. That indeed we will send after them a nation, أَضَاعُوا الصَّلَاةَ, they will allow their salah to go to waste. وَاتَّبَعُوا الشَّهَوَاتِ, and they will follow their carnal desires. Allah says about these individuals, فَسَوْفَ يَلْقَوْنَ غَيًّا, that indeed these people will eventually meet an everlasting doom and destruction. But then Allah says, إِلَّا مَنْ تَابَ وَآمَنَ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا فَأُولَٰئِكَ يَدْخُلُونَ الْجَنَّةَ. Except those individuals who do tawbah, who seek forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they do good, and they have iman, and they continue to worship Allah through their good actions. Allah says, فَأُولَٰئِكَ يَدْخُلُونَ الْجَنَّةَ, that indeed these individuals will be guaranteed and they will be given entry into the paradise. So alhamdulillah, the month of Ramadan was the month of forgiveness. How many times we did tawbah and we asked for forgiveness in the month of Ramadan? Alhamdulillah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really forgive us sincerely. But let us keep that one trait at least alive in our lives for the rest of the month of the year. Trait number one. Trait number two, let us try to keep the essence of the month of Ramadan alive in our lives. During the month of Ramadan, we live together, eat together, pray together, and we invest heavily in the qualities like unity, love, compassion amongst one another. Let us try to keep this essence of the month of Ramadan alive. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned in one hadith that Ar-Rahimun Yarhamuhumullah. Ar-Rahimun, those individuals who show compassion, those individuals who show love and mercy amongst one another. Yarhamuhumullah, Allah Himself would show mercy upon them. Then the Prophet ﷺ gave a direct order, Irhamu man fil ard. O believers, O followers, have mercy upon the inhabitants of the earth. Why? Yarhamukum man fis sama. So that the inhabitant of the heavens, he can shower you with his bounties and his mercies. And the Prophet ﷺ ended the hadith by saying, La yarhamullah man la yarhamun nas. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not have mercy and does not show compassion to that individual who does not show mercy and compassion upon insan and upon humanity. So this, in a nutshell, is really the essence of the month of Ramadan. Apart from it being a spiritual experience, this is the essence of the month of Ramadan. Let us try to keep that alive. In one hadith, the Prophet ﷺ made mention about the prostitute who showed mercy towards the dog. He also mentioned about a woman who was punished because she held a cat in captive and she did not allow it to roam free. So there are two sides of the coin. If we were to show mercy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will show mercy upon us. And we must understand, my dear brothers and sisters, that our heart is a reflection of the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we do not keep a clean heart, then it is very difficult for us to reflect the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One scholar, he gave the example of a mirror. And he said, the job of a mirror is to show a reflection. And he said that mirror would not work if one of three things are present. The mirror would be unable to perform its job and its duty if one or more of three things are present. Number one, if the mirror is facing in the wrong direction. If the person wants to look at the image of his face and the mirror is facing the opposite direction, then the mirror cannot do its job. Number two, if the mirror is dirty, there is some type of substance on the actual glass itself, that also will prevent the mirror from reflecting properly. And number three, if the mirror itself is somewhat defective, that also will obscure the image. So then he said, imagine our hearts like a mirror. If we have our hearts facing in the wrong direction, then how can we possibly reflect the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If our heart is stained by sin, by the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, again, how can we possibly reflect the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And number three, if our hearts are defective, and we keep harboring ill feelings over and over until it gets to a point where Allah mentioned in the Quran, Sunnun Bukmun Umyun. It is as though these individuals are blind, deaf and dumb. The heart now becomes defective. How is it in the infinite, in our imagination, that we can reflect the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So, alhamdulillah, during the month of Ramadan, we were able to somewhat redirect the mirror towards its correct direction. Also, we were able to purify the mirror, cleansing it from whatever impurities might have obscured that image. And thirdly, we were able to rectify all of these so-called defects. So alhamdulillah, we have ended the month of Ramadan with tazkiyah, with purity, that Allah mentioned in the Quran, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ تَزَكَّى. And that inner purity, we should try our very best to hold on to that purity. Try our very best to protect the efforts that we made during the month of Ramadan, so that it will always and in every situation of our lives continuously reflect the image of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I make a sincere dua, and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first of all to accept all of our ibadat during the month of Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala overlook our shortcomings, and whatever small humble offerings we were able to present in front of Allah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept that, and may He make that a means of our salvation. Also, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to give us life, health, strength, prosperity, that inshallah for years to come we will be receiving more and more opportunities. We will be able to see more and more months of Ramadan, so that we can utilize these opportunities to ensure